Kia ora guys, good afternoon, my name's Max, I'm the host of this channel, The Black Jersey, and I was planning to do just a single video today, but after the amazing performance by Japan, I think I'm gonna have to record two videos for you guys today, because there's a lot of talking points to come out from the All Blacks win by just 7 points. In my previous video, I said it wouldn't be a massive blowout score or anything, but I did predict the All Blacks to win by 24. That obviously didn't happen, so there's a lot I'm gonna have to say today. A big thank you to my patrons as usual, and I'll just remind all my new viewers to subscribe to me and like this video if you enjoy my content. Now that I've got all the basics, the house rules out of the way, let's get straight into breaking down Japan's phenomenal attack that was so thrilling to watch. The beautiful Japanese attack was seen as quickly as the 5th minute, with Nagari appearing to be collecting some front foot ball out of the breakdown. Dylan Riley from 13, however, emerges for an unexpected pick and go that the All Blacks didn't foresee around the halfway line, as this tactic is usually used close to the try line. This pick and go forces the All Blacks to readjust their defence, and while this happens, we can see that at the next angle that Yamasawa has clearly organised the Japanese attack as Nagari goes wide. Yamasawa utilises the pod of 3 on his outside, with Himeno, the widest member of the pod, collecting the pass. This pod, however, isn't being used to attack at all. Himeno instead passes to Ji-won Gu, a one-off runner who is able to exploit the fact that Kane is rushed up too fast, isolating Nepo Laulala. Though Laulala is able to make the tackle indeed, Gu is guaranteed to cross the gain line with Laulala on the back foot, while Himeno and his pod will be able to get over the ball uncontested to win Japan some front foot ball, with Tuivasa-Sheck having to help Laulala complete the tackle with Kane and Taukei'aho moving back to get onside. Japan have had the time to set up for the next phase as Nagari goes wide from the breakdown again. As we cut to the wide shot, 6 Brave Blossoms are marked by just 3 All Blacks. With Cornelsen having researched the All Blacks defence, he runs a superb dummy line reminiscent from the stuff we saw from Ireland, leaving Reece to defend against 3 other players from side on. Tatafu breaks the line in a solid outing from number 8, but the All Blacks backfield defence is superb, with Mwanga coming in to smash Nagari, who receives the pass from Tatafu. In the 35th minute, Japan's attack is shown in a clear structure again. Despite being down by 3 to 21, Japan aren't scared to attack from deep inside their own half. Himeno appears as the one-off runner after Nagari goes wide off the breakdown, but Himeno's pass is almost an inversion of the previous phase we looked into. Himeno is a single-man pod this time, having been a member of a 3-man pod back in the play from the 6th minute. Warner-Dearns steps forward to receive Himeno's pass, with his podmates acting as clear-out options from the ruck. With George Bauer's growing notoriety as a defender, however, Dearns charges forward to take him on with Caleb Clark also in a side-on position. Dearns goes himself, as this is a guaranteed gain line cross. Both defenders are going to have weak shoulders. Bauer slips off the tackle as Mwanga has to bring Dearns down from deep, allowing Japan to run another 2 meters. With Christie the only All Black in the ruck, front foot ball is quite easily generated. Japan set up the 3 strike runners on the blind side as Kane is moving back onside. With Clark having been drawn in by Dearns earlier, he's MIA and completely out of position, so it's Braden Ennor who's a centre having to step forward and mark Riley, who exploits the space in behind for a really nice kick. Having known that Steven Petafeta is an inexperienced player, Riley realises Japan can milk something out of the fullback on his starting debut. Petafeta knocks on, and though Yamanaka and Ennor aren't able to fetch the ball, Yamasawa has come forward to direct the play in hopes of Japan winning some good ruck ball. With the ball on the ground, he's able to grub through and increase his match tally to 10 points with the converted try. Though the second try Japan scored at the end of the first half was a bit of a fluke, I think we'd better look at some amazing awareness of the Brave Blossoms to keep the ball alive after it was charged down. Yamanaka recovers the ball brilliantly to set up those outside him, having advanced forward as a second playmaker. While everyone is raving about Roger Tuivasa-Sheck having a great game, I'd prefer to call it an average one due to his defence. Tuivasa-Sheck, as we can see, isn't quite close enough to the touchline, and though he is eventually able to switch his attention to Nakamura, his initial closeness to the centre of the pitch hasn't allowed Sevu Reece to stand wide enough to give a proper defensive effort. Dylan Riley follows up with phenomenal handling of the ball, and Nagari runs the classic halfback support line to cross over for Japan's second try, which was created by amazing teamwork to exploit a defensive error. I do have to talk a little bit about Warner Dunes, the Japanese lock, as well. He was born in New Zealand to Kiwi parents who are both coaching professionally over in Japan right now. His father coaches one of the local franchises in the top league. Dune was eligible for New Zealand through birth, but he opted to stay in Japan, and he is really getting paid his dividends for it. He was an absolutely brilliant player in this match, and I think I've got quite a lot of good things to say about Dunes. Perhaps one day he's going to make my World 15 for a calendar year. Anyway, let's jump into how he scored this brilliant try. In the 55th minute, we see Steven Petafeta at the ruck is the only option for Christie to make a box kick. As the ruck gets a bit messed up, Retallick and Tu'ungafasi stand in front of Christie and attempt for this kick to still happen. As the lack of speed for the kick has happened, Dunes has the awareness to know what's coming. There's no more analysis to do from the try here. He sprints off with nobody marking him, thanks to Petafeta's presence at the ruck and not the backfield. Just a genuine world-class read of the game by a very intelligent up-and-coming player. For this next section, I also want to highlight some brilliant phases of Japanese defence. With the commentators over here predicting Satoshi to run off the back of the scrum, Japan do so as well, with long-term flanker Michael Leach detaching from the scrum before Satoshi even takes the ball into contact. Leach is able to bring Satoshi down by the shoulder as Riley tackles at the legs. With Satoshi unable to find the try line, he knocks on, allowing Dunes to pick up and carry for the subsequent kick for touch. We also see phenomenal defence from the Brave Blossoms in the 22nd minute as the All Blacks are under advantage. Mo'unga kicks forward for Eno, but Yamanaka doesn't just give up. He stands up as a class fullback and he barks the orders for Matsushima to provide the assistance. Matsushima holds Eno's torso towards the sky. This allows Yamanaka to get over the ball, ensuring Matsushima's hold up of Eno doesn't allow for any twists or turns to get the ball down. There's also this try-saving turnover from man of the match Kazuki Himeno in the 54th minute that also has to be mentioned, especially when you consider what the final score ended up being. While the tries the All Blacks scored were well worth the audience's ticket prices, I do worry about the inconsistency of the All Blacks' attack against Japan. Nevertheless, I do have plenty of good stuff to say about the tries that got scored, so now we're going to cover the All Blacks' attack for this section of the video. The first try originates from a line-out in the 11th minute of the match with Satoshi and Kane put together in a pod, completed by Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to begin the attack. With Kane the heaviest player in the backfield, it's Kane who instead runs through the 12 channel to crash the ball up, while Satoshi and Tuivasa-Sheck, who's acting as an extra forward, these two are over the ball within less than 3 seconds. With the two doing so, Finlay Christie's got quite clean front foot ball. Though Japan have 5 defenders to mark the All Blacks 4 attackers on the blind side, Frizzell, who's a highly unlikely distribution option, is the bloke to slot in the 10 channel. While running a dummy line towards 2 defenders, Frizzell passes behind himself towards what appears to be Christie's direction. Riley and Himeno hold their eyes on Christie, who appears to be in there, in order to make a pass out wide, but the ball instead goes to Samasoni Taukei'aho at hooker. With Dunes already bent over to tackle Frizzell, Taukei'aho, who's sprinting forward from deep with an upright position, is able to bump Dunes off. With Taukei'aho breaking the line, this turns the All Blacks 4-on-5 into a 2-on-1. They're now other guys with the numbers, with Retallick and Taukei'aho knowing the ins and outs of each other's running thanks to being Chiefs teammates. Retallick is in there to support and is able to make the first of his 2 highly notable plays in the game, scoring the try. The teamwork and ball handling in the lead up to Braden Eno's try was really good as well, but as we cut to the screen, we're gonna see that he was probably quite lucky to score the try, as Richie Mo'unga does make a bit of a forward pass, though the ref still somehow allows it. Sevu Reece's try, this has to be the best one for the All Blacks. Samisoni Taukei'aho times a brilliant pre-rehearsed move for the set piece to perfection. As we can see in the 35th minute, he is deliberately overthrowing the lineout. Roger Tuivasa-Sheck is instead the one slotting into first receiver to collect the overthrow, as he's got the body mass to draw defenders in. However, Sevu Reece is positioned towards Tuivasa-Sheck's outside between Tuivasa-Sheck and the lineout. There aren't usually any backs marking their opposition this close to the lineout, which makes a turning Kazuki Himeno the only possible tackler for Reece to watch. Reece times his line perfectly, breaking out of Yamasawa's tackle and running about 45 meters to score. Now, the All Blacks were winning by 35-24 by the 60th minute, and this is the time when Brodie Retallick was sent off with a red card in his 99th Test match. Guys, there's nothing controversial about the red card. There's direct contact from Retallick's shoulder and into the back of Himeno's head. Direct contact to the head with force has been a red card since 2016. It's in the rulebook, so I don't think there's anything controversial about it, and I've got no idea why the All Blacks fans are blaming the ref for this, because this was the right call to make. Anyway, with such a scoreline, Japan realistically has the chance to beat the All Blacks, so we're going to talk about how the All Blacks were able to avoid this almost certain defeat possibility. With Retallick gone, Japan looked to make the most of an 11-point deficit in the 66th minute. They decide that imitation is the best form of flattery, so overthrow their lineout as well. Cody Taylor marks the space in between the lineout and Richie Mo'unga though, as Cody Taylor knows the pros and cons of this play previously used by Taukei'aho. Lee is used to draw Taylor, Mo'unga and Kane in, however, before going wide to the open side of the pitch. With Saitoa freed up from halfback, their best passer is now available to distribute wide, and he does so with his pass skipping 7 of the All Blacks defenders. Yamanaka receives the pass far out on Japan's right wing, with World Cup hero Matsushima outside him. With a retreating Caleb Clark and isolated Stephen Perofeta marking the 2 Japanese runners, real magic is set to happen. As Yamanaka passes, Clark cannot reach Matsushima while Perofeta is side on. Perofeta misses the tackle, but the All Blacks produce some brilliant cover defense through Taylor, while Clark adjusts himself to suit a hard-working Anton Lienert-Brown. Taylor doesn't necessarily make the tackle, but he manages to slow Matsushima down brilliantly before Matsushima turns his back. This allows Lienert-Brown to bang him into the ground with a phenomenal impact off the bench in his return from injury. Japan go wide again with a very odd pod shape of a 4-1-3 in order to recycle the ball. After the ruck, Saitoa passes back out to the blind side where the ball initially came from, but before doing so he runs up at Roger Tuivasa-Sheck to keep the All Blacks defence line a bit narrower. Clark rushes out of position again to cover Tuivasa-Sheck, but really needs to learn some defensive lessons from Anton Lienert-Brown, who instead holds, waits and then assesses the Japanese attack, with Perofeta correctly judging the tackle on Van den Heever after running up from deep. Lienert-Brown is able to use the touchline as an extra defender with his shoulder positioned towards the touchline. Lienert-Brown again smashes Matsushima to deny Japan the chance of a try. Though Kazuki Himeno was able to get a very hard-worked try very late in the game, by this stage it was too late for Japan to get the win. They did manage to get this score up to 31 points, but late in the match the All Blacks had them back inside their own half, and Mo'unga finishes the game off with a penalty. We now need to talk about the match stats stats because there's some pretty alarming stuff in there that I can't help but wonder, oh, is it Ian Foster? Of course it's Ian Foster. Anyway, I'm not going to disparage him. It's not my thing to disparage people. I'm just going to get straight to the All Blacks possession, which was at 62%. My source for this one's been ESPN. So yes, 62% possession and 60% territory, yet the All Blacks could only win by 7 points. Japan, phenomenal defense. The phenomenal defense that I'm talking about, you can really see it with the next match stat, which was a 77 tackle percentage for the All Blacks, but 86% for Japan, despite the fact that Japan were able to attempt nearly twice as many tackles during the match. The praise has to go towards Jamie Joseph, Tony Brown and John Mitchell, who have done phenomenally as Japanese coaches for the national team. You can see the tackle percentage right on screen, of course. Rucks 1. This is a statistic that the All Blacks are usually deficient in during losses. Since the South Africa match in Townsville for 2021, the All Blacks have been deficient for ruck percentage in every single one of their losses under Ian Foster. They had a deficient ruck percentage against Japan, and considering Japan doesn't have the biggest pack in the world, that's just a little bit alarming. We're now going to go to the lineouts. As you can see, the All Blacks weren't quite perfect with the lineouts with 15 out of 18. Japan got them 100% though, whereas Japan also won their single scrum off their own feet. The All Blacks did concede 1 scrum penalty. Something that's not very good for the All Blacks either is the fact that Japan conceded 13 penalties, and if we count the red card, the All Blacks conceded 7. So despite Japan conceding nearly twice as many penalties, Mo'unga didn't take a penalty goal until the final minute of the match. Mo'unga is still the best 10 the All Blacks have, but this truly was his worst performance at test level, so hopefully he'll be recovering and playing better next time. You've got to take the points on offer, and I've noticed that Sam Whitelock's a far better captain when it comes to making those calls. So with Kane returning home to New Zealand, unfortunately due to injury, will Sam Whitelock in charge now get the guys to be taking more penalty goals? I really hope so, because the opposition for the rest of this tour is going to be much tougher. That's about all I've got to say for this video, guys, so I hope you subscribe to me and like this video and comment on this video if you enjoyed it. You can visit me over on Instagram to see all the content I create to entertain you guys, and of course Twitter, where I'm always happy to create a bit of a laugh and give my hot takes. Thank you very much for watching this video, guys. It's much appreciated. It's your boy Max, and I'm signing out.